Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Stanescu, the MRI Quality Improvement Specialist, and I am here with Julie Dickerson, our honorary retiree. Been here for 40 years, and we just want to get some information so that we have it when she leaves us. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So what was your first role at Cincinnati Children's?
My first role was as a radiology nurse doing sedation for patients that needed imaging studies.
Nice. And when did you start working in radiology?
I think it was around 1988.
And you came from what department prior?
I came from hematology, oncology, bone marrow transplant.
And what was our department like when you first started?
So we were in a building that doesn't exist any longer, and we were in the basement. And for some unknown reason, it seems like radiology departments back then were always in the basement of the hospital. So I'm not sure if that's because of fear of radiation or why that was, but anyway.
How many scanners did we have? Did we have an MRI scanner yet?
No, MRI did not exist. We had one CT scanner. We had maybe 2 fluoro rooms, 2 Bucky rooms. We had one interventional radiology room, and we had 2 ultrasound rooms.
Wow. So what year did the MRI scanner come in? Do you remember?
I do not remember. But our first MRI scans were done at University Hospital. And we took the patients in a van over to the MRI at University. It was in like a modular building. And we actually recovered the patients in a converted broom closet. I'm not lying.
And how did you monitor the patients while they were in the scanner?
So the first MRI sedation monitor was a styrofoam cup. And that sat upside down on the patient's chest. And the nurse sat right next to the tech at the console. And the scanner over there was fairly close to where that window was, where the tech sat. And we just watched the patient's cup move up and down with their breathing, and then after every sequence, we would go in the room and check the patient.
That's crazy how times have changed. Where were the radiologists at that time?
Yeah, that's an understatement. Where were the radiologists while this was going on? Well, back then, the radiologists sat in the control room.
Oh, okay.
So for a long time, even after we got the MRI scanner, our own MRI scanner here at Children's, the radiologist sat in the control room with the nurse and the tech.
Okay. And do you remember how many radiologists in chief we've had since you've been here?
So I've been through 5 radiologists in chief: Dr. Dunbar, Dr. Kirks, Dr. Strife, Dr. Donnelly, and now Dr. Coley.
So that changed over time. What do you think the major institutional changes were since you've been here?
Well, I think, we had one hospital building which no longer exists, and that was kind of connected to part of the old research building is still standing, but we had just the one hospital building that was kind of connected to where they did research, and none of these buildings, A, B, G, S, T, none of those buildings existed at that time.
It's just so crazy how fast it's developed. It's nuts. Do you have one funny or interesting memory that you would like to share over your 40 years?
I do have an interesting memory, but this really isn't funny. Although you have to laugh about it or you will cry. So when we moved from the old hospital to the B building, that was a big move for us. And we did not have a recovery room. So as a result of that, we had to recover our patients in the what is now our MRCT hallway. So I would say by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we would have 5 patients lined up in that hallway recovering. Most of them would still be on the MR table. Some of them we would have to move on to a stretcher because we would need the table. So back then, each scanner had 2 tables. So we would have the table in the scanner and the table that the patient was waking up on. And then a lot of those patients, like I said, would have to be moved to stretchers.
Right.
So it was not an ideal situation because we would have, like I said, probably about 5 patients by 2 o'clock in the afternoon lined up in the hallway recovering, and then the families would be sitting there with them. So people think that back hallway is crowded now. It was really crowded. But in spite of that, we never ever had a patient code, a patient decompensation, and I would say that is a tribute to the nursing and tech staff that we had, that we were able to still keep those patients safe, even though sometimes it felt like a field hospital back there.
That's what it sounds like. But
Yeah.
I would say, now it's funny, you're right.
Yeah.
So you moved on from being a nurse in the department to what role?
So I became a supervisor and then a manager. And at one point in time, I managed all the nurses and all of the clerks. So prior to PACS, we had a file room, and we had a whole staff of clerks that managed and ran the file room. So I supervised all of the clerical staff and the nursing staff. Then I got a title change to a director because I had a lot of direct reports by that time. Eventually we had PACS, and then all of those clerks were transitioned into different jobs or left the radiology department for jobs elsewhere in the medical center. And so then I was the nursing director for a while, and so between my floor nursing time from the time of hire to the time I took the job I have now was about 18 years. And then I took the job that I have now, which is patient safety and quality improvement.
And so there's a lot of history in those roles. What would you say the project or initiative that you're most proud of is?
Well, that's hard to answer. I would say going way back, Dr. Bill Ball and I wrote the first sedation protocol, pediatric radiology sedation protocol in the country. And then we went to the RSNA for several years and presented that protocol and other information about how to manage sedated radiology patients. And then another, I think, kind of big accomplishment was in the patient safety role, and we published a paper where we showed evidence of how we had changed the culture and the number of serious safety events in the radiology department related to our hospital-wide and then department-wide patient safety initiatives.
I'd say that's a large change for our department that you made, for sure. So we will miss you, but what will you miss about us, radiology, working here at Cincinnati Children's?
You know, definitely I'm going to miss all of the people, honestly. So many people, you know, that I know in my job that I have now. You know, I always knew the nurses well, CT techs, MRI techs, nuke med techs, but now in the job that I have now, I know all of the techs, ultrasound, radiography. I know all the techs at the outpatient locations, and, you know, I just am really going to miss seeing everybody. You know, I feel like, you know, these people are my friends, and I so enjoy our QI group that we have now. I think we have a really good QI team, and then of course the radiologist as well. So yeah, I'm going to miss the people the most.
And so life after you retire from here, what does it look like for you? What are your plans?
I'm a little bit nervous about that, but I have a little part-time job teaching horseback riding lessons, and I still ride 3 or 4 days a week, and I'm hoping to do some horse showing. Since my children are no longer horse showing, I can now horse show maybe. And also, I golf, I ski, and I bowl. And, I like to read. I'm in a couple different book clubs, so hopefully that'll be enough, but maybe I'll have some new activities once I get retired and actually have time to do something.
Sounds like an incredibly busy life. That's something to look forward to. I know that we will miss Julie very much. We're excited to hear about what happens after you leave here, and thank you for sitting with me today.
Thanks, Natalie. I'm going to miss you.
I'll miss you.